Hey guys, here bringing you some magic, and this is a pretty good start considering we opened the best rare in the set. Probably the best card in the set. Maybe Gideon's a little bit better, and I would prefer to open a Gideon because it's probably worth a bunch of money, but I can't really complain about a Quarantine Field. And I mean, it's pretty easy to see why this card is so powerful, but just it will take out anything that you wanted to take out for 4 mana, and then once you get to the late game for 6 mana, 8 mana, you can kill 2 or 3 things. So this is one of those cards where when somebody sees it, they just feel completely blown out, and then they like scour their sideboard for anything that can help them out there. There are actually some pretty other decent cards that I wouldn't mind first picking. Coastal Discovery, Nettle Drone are both up there, but I'm very happy to be taking this card. White is not like perfect in this format, but it's definitely a strong enough color that I'm pretty happy to be in it. This is a pretty interesting pack. There are not too many powerful cards. There's Bloodbond Vampire, which is a really strong card in the black-white life gain deck. I did take a white card first, so it sort of pairs well with that. And considering that this is essentially a gold card because you don't want to play it in any other deck, it's good that I already have my other card that would be in that color. And the reason why I say that is because it'll only fit in a 2-color pair, so therefore it essentially is just as limiting as if it were 2 black-white in the mana cost. There's Skyrider Elf, which is a strong card, but it's in green, and we don't really do green, even though the last draft that I posted I was green. Then there's Tightening Coils, which is solid in the blue-white Flyers deck, but I just think that Bloodbond Vampire is a little bit more powerful, even though it's easier to end up in the blue-white deck because there's more redundancy for it. Anyway, the other strong possibility would be Spawning Bed, just because it's colorless, but I find that it's pretty easy to pick up one colorless land throughout the draft that'll be pretty strong for you. So Spawning Bed might be a little bit better than the next best one, but it's still not really worth moving into an entirely different deck for it. Okay, so here, the strongest card in the pack in a vacuum is probably Brood Monitor, but again, we're not doing green. There is Calastria Night Watch for the black-white life gain deck. Usually you can get these guys a little bit later, but it is still a consideration and a strong card. Unified Front is actually kind of strong in that deck, especially if you end up with some Calastria healers. There is Kozilek's Channeler to stay open. I think I'm gonna take the white card. There's Smite the Monstresses is also a decent enough white card. Then there's Vestige of Emrakul and McKindy Slide Runner, which are both strong-ish cards, but don't really pair well with Quarantine Field. It's not like I would be upset if I had a red-white aggressive deck and had Quarantine Field in it, but I do like Unified Front, especially if I can pick up a splash pretty easily off of an Evolving Wilds or a Pilgrim's Eye. Then it'll be nice to have this card. It works well with Calastria Healer. It works well if I want to play a Bone Splinters, if I have that kind of thing going on. Plus, I do like taking white cards early so that I can really hone in on this color and make sure that I'm the only one in it, or nobody to my direct left is in it. So there are 3 strong white cards in this pack. I think Adverse Conditions, Valakut Predator might be 2 of the better cards, but Sheer Drop is probably the best card in the pack. Shadow Glider and McKindy Patrol are good, but there are some decent ones here. Anyway, I'm going to take Sheer Drop. At the beginning of the form, I've pretty much not shifted too much on Sheer Drop, but there were a lot of people who thought it was one of the best cards in the format, or at least the best white common, and it's shifted down for them. I think it's still better than McKindy Patrol or Shadow Glider, even in the black-white deck, but I'm still happy enough to pick it up 4th. Not much here. There's an Nirkana Assassin for the black-white deck. Fortified Rampart isn't bad in that deck either. I think I'm going to take Fortified Rampart just because I could still end up in blue-white, or even red-white, to be honest. Red-white wouldn't want a Fortified Rampart. So yeah, I think I'll take the Fortified Rampart over the Nirkana Assassin for that reason. Nothing else that jumps out at me too much. There's Rune Processor, but I'm not going to have any ways to exile, most likely. I guess Quarantine Field counts. And I mean, if I'm lucky, I can find a Stasis there or something like that. So white isn't completely devoid of having the ability to exile, but anyway, Fortified Rampart over Stonewaker, which I haven't been too impressed with. And Nirkana Assassin, anyway. I'm just going to keep picking white cards as long as they're flowing. I don't know. This guy can go here, this guy can go here, whatever. It's basically a late game great card. You can play it early if you absolutely need to. But again, there really isn't a black or a black card. Again, the only one that I saw was the second pick Bloodbond Vampire, and I haven't even been seeing the life gain white cards. That I say that as I'm taking a card that literally gains life, but it's not one of the life gain enablers that you only want to play in the black-white deck. So I haven't seen any of those kind of cards. I'll take a Felidar Cub. All right, and then this is actually quite a strong pack still. I wouldn't mind playing Miasma or Myers Malice in this deck, but I'll be happy taking another Courier Griffin over, I think, Envoy. I think that's right. I mean, this card is only okay. 1 mana 2/1s really aren't that good, and the ally type line is good, but it's not. I mean, it would be better in a green-white deck where you want a double trigger like your Tajuru Beastmaster or Tajuru Warcaller or something like that. Courier Griffin is always a pretty solid card, so happy to take that guy. Well, on the wheel, I have the choice between Cliffside Lookout and Valakut Invoker, and I think we're going to go with the Valakut Invoker. So it's a much stronger card in my opinion, and I really haven't figured out my colors yet, so I may as well still continue to take the best card in the pack. If I do end up in red, I wouldn't mind playing that. Okay, wow, okay. I knew they Clash of Night Watches, and I mentioned that they go late, but this is very late for a card of this caliber, so I'm happy to pick that up and lean towards black-white going into pack 2. If I pick up some really strong red-white cards, then I won't be it won't be tough to move me off of it. But I mean, like if I open a Resolute Blade Master or something. But yeah, I'll lean towards black-white for now. Unified Front isn't looking great. Never know, I might end up splashing a color and it would be good, but I had other options that I could have taken over it. I guess I ended up getting a Clash of Night Watch back anyway. Wow, Shadow Glider tabling is awesome for me, because even though it's not an ideal card in most of the decks that I'll be building, it's still just a very solid playable. And the black-white deck, while it has a lot of synergy, there's no way that you can get your entire deck to be synergy based with that one, just because there aren't enough synergy cards that are black and white. So with the Devoid deck, you basically want every single card in your deck to either be removal, like a really, really powerful card, or to be a Devoid card. But in this deck, you can't really get a situation. I guess you can get like only Clash your healers and allies and that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm going to take the Emiria Shepherd. I could see the argument for Calastria Healer. Emiria Shepherd is so late game that you can't even really focus on it until you've already held the game and controlled it to the point where you get into the late game and you get 8 mana, because this guy, you almost always want to play it on turn 8 as opposed to turn 7, but it is just a really strong card, so I'm going to have to take it over Calastria Healer, which is an enabler for the black-white deck, and it's a solid 2-drop in a format where there aren't very many solid 2-drops, so I do like this card a fair bit, but when you open an on-color bomb, then you usually go for that. Alright, so this pack doesn't really have any great black or white cards, but it does have this Serpentine Spike. I already have a bunch of expensive cards, which is a consideration, but Touch of the Void rather, is also a really solid card that I could consider taking over Shadow Glider. So definitely have a decision point here, because I don't really have any life gain enablers yet. I haven't wasted too many high picks on black-white cards, so I could still be in red. And the Calastria Night Watch tabled, meaning it's unlikely that there's anybody else in black-white. But at the same time, I'm not really giving up too much. I'm just giving up a Shadow Glider, which, as I mentioned, is a solid card, but it's not something that you really want to be picking up. I guess the question is, if I'm taking red, what am I taking, Touch of the Void or Serpentine Spike? I'm not even sure. I guess I'll take Touch of the Void. It's also splashable if I really need it, but anyway. Alright, I mean, I'll take another, basically, bomb status white card. That's fine with me. It's so annoying how it doesn't realize, like, okay, I want this to be 0, this to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drops. Like when I take this Felidar Sovereign, if I just let it do its own thing, it would just place it somewhere, like, I don't know, whatever. Actually, yeah, let's see where it goes. Anyway, there's no other card in the conversation here. There's Fortified Rampart and Ghostly Sentinel, either of which I wouldn't mind having in my deck, but nothing else to consider. Yep, put it over there. Wow! What did I say about getting lucky and maybe picking up a Stasis Snare? This is really late for a Stasis Snare, too. It just goes to show you that it ended up working out cutting white in the first pack, because there were points where I was taking stuff like Unified Front over Class 3 Night Watch, and then I took a Sheer Drop, so I really didn't let much white go through, and it looks like 2-3 people to my left were not in white, because Stasis Snare, Felidar Sovereign, those are first picks, so definitely pretty lucky on that front, but happy. Alright, so Angel of Renewal, it's a 6-drop, of which I have many currently. I mean, I have Emiria Shepherd. I guess, I mean, technically these two are flexible, so it's not too bad to have another 6-drop. There's also a Demon's Grasp and a Fortified Rampart. I think that Angel of Renewal is too good to pass up on. There's also a Smoldering Marsh, which is probably worth a ticket or half a ticket or something like that. Plus, it would be pretty decent in this deck if I end up playing both black and red, because of Unified Front and because I have a couple of splashable cards. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Angel of Renewal. It's just the most powerful card in the pack, and I guess I'll worry about my curve a little bit later in the draft. Nothing here. I could take a turn against. Maybe it's a little bit better than Felidar Cub, the second Felidar Cub. I don't really want to be playing this anyway. I guess I might end up in a red deck, and turn against could be a solid playable. It's not a card that I'm really looking to play in this format, but there are some decks where it's not so bad, and so I don't think Cliffside Lookout is really what this deck wants, but I wouldn't mind a Sandstone Bridge. So I'm pretty happy that I ended up taking the turn against over the Felidar Cub, because I kind of get one for free here anyway. Again, there's really nothing here for me. I could take a Snapping Gnarlid. I mean, I could potentially be in green-white. If I table that Grove Tender Druids, I don't think it's tableable, but that's a possibility. Otherwise, I'm just taking Sure Strike. Sure, whatever. I'll take that. Nothing really here. I'll take Volcanic Upheaval for the sideboard. Don't really like that as a sideboard card, but it's not miserable. Dutiful Return I actually do think is a strong sideboard card. I'll do Great Horn here. So I just picked up so much white at the beginning of that pack that I just don't know what my secondary color is. It's very weird. It's not a synergy draft, this one, or at least it hasn't been so far, but I do have just a ton of powerful top-end cards between Felidar Sovereign, Quarantine Field, Emiria Shepherd. I've got some decent enough mid-game. I've got a really strong removal spell and Stasis Snare here. So if I play red, I have Touch of the Void. Probably playing red at this point, because, I mean, there's just that one signal for the Kalashria Night Watch, and Bloodbond Vampire took second pick, and I haven't really picked up much life gain since then. There are a couple life gain cards. Wow, I even tabled that Felidar Cub that I considered taking. So yeah, definitely happy that I took the turn against over it, but I don't know. I mean, there's a good chance that this card doesn't even make my deck if I end up in red, so that's one of the reasons why I wasn't too psyched about it. It's just not a great card in this format. I'm sure that there are formats where it would be a top priority and a very strong pick. It's most likely just because this format is so synergy based that you don't really want to be doing things like stealing creatures, because a lot of the time the creatures that you want to kill aren't in combat, or they're not the right size, and that kind of thing. Whew, okay, so I have a reason to be in black now, in Grip of Desolation. At the same time, there's a nice option in Hero of Gomafada. I don't have a lot of other allies. I have Angel of Renewal, and I have The only problem with Grip of Desolation is that it is another 6-drop, of which I have too many already. I could also just take a Ghostly Sentinel, which would be a really good card in my deck. So Hero of Gomafada, how good is that in a deck like this? It's really not that good. My deck just wants to survive for a long time. So yeah, I think I'm actually going to take Grip of Desolation. There's a good chance that I don't play it, but I don't know. I mean, honestly, Ghostly Sentinel is the most appealing card. It's the one that does the most for me with my game plan. But yeah, Hero of Gomafada. It's funny, I opened 3 white rares, but I don't think I'm going to take this one. Grip of Desolation is a much better card than Hero. So yeah, I'm going to go for it, but I'm not 100% sure I'm playing it. Well, I get another shot at a Ghostly Sentinel here. I could also take a Fortified Rampart. I do have all these Felidar Cubs, but Fortified Rampart would be better in my deck. I'm going to take a Ghostly Sentinel. I think my deck is a little bit light on ways to win, and this is a good card in that it'll shore up the AR plus start getting in. I like that about it. Unified Front is probably not making my deck, by the way. Other than that, let's keep on moving along. Okay. Not much here. There is a Kozilek Sentinel as like a decent blocker, sort of like a Fortified Rampart. I could take a McKindy Patrol, sort of the same idea. Give my flyers vigilance that don't already have vigilance. I do like that. Yeah, let's take McKindy Patrol. It's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit late in the draft to be deciding, but I don't know if I'm in black or white yet. Well, maybe I should just be in blue. No, I don't think that's going to happen. But I will take an Ondu Rising. It's a little bit awkward because my deck isn't really attacking that much. But it's still a 4/4 for 5, sort of. There's nothing else here that I would want. I guess a Silent Skimmer if I end up in black. But I don't know. Whew, okay, so there is a Duststalker in black-red, but I don't think that's really where my deck wants to be anyway. I could take another Courier Griffin, which, I mean, we're probably not playing this Unified Front. It'll go well with the Bloodbond Vampire if I end up playing that. Yeah, it's probably a little bit better. I mean, I'd rather have that than the Vestige. I guess I could take a Valakut Predator. I mean, I sort of think that my deck is going to be defensive, but it doesn't need to be. I could just go for Valakut Predator and then be much more aggressive, take out Bloodbond, Glacier Night Watch, Grip of Desolation, and the Fortified Rampart, and then just kind of be a beat-down deck. That has a really strong top end anyway. I think I'm going to go with the Courier Griffin, though. Not really sure which one was better for this situation. I'll take a Smite the Monstrous here. I mean, I could take McKindy Slide Runner and again kind of build out that aggressive theme, but I think that the defensive deck here is going to be better. So yeah, I'll take Smite the Monstrous. This is a solid removal spell that I'll main deck. Perhaps I'll take it out after the first game, but yeah. I think I'm in black here. The Grip of Desolation is just by far my best card in either black or red, and it looks like I have enough playables anyway, so. I have very few black cards, and 2 of them are double black, but that's okay, because I could still do something like play 10-7 and hit my black cards whenever I need them. Yeah, I ended up picking up a decent amount of like late life gain, that it's going to be okay. So like the Feldar Sovereign, Angel of Renewal, all these Courier Griffins really help with that. I'm going to take a Blighted Fen here. I'm going to be an aggressive or a defensive deck, and as I mentioned, I'm pretty happy to be playing a colorless land here. Tandem Tactics, sure. Ooh, another Ghostly Sentinel making it back. That's great. Whew. I guess I'll take the red card for the sideboard in case I need it. Scour from Existence, nice sideboard card in a really slow matchup. I don't think I'll bring in 2 Dutiful Returns, but you never know. Okay, so this ended up being a solid enough draft. I'm going to cut like one of these and one more card. I'll do Great Horn. There's no reason for that to be in my deck. Okay, cool. So, I mean, this is a nice enough deck. It's a little bit top heavy, but yeah, and there's a couple of things that, like, Shadow Glider isn't really perfect for this strategy. I guess it's really a Flyers deck with some powerful late game. I wish I had another Fortified Rampart. I don't know. It's got a little bit of life gain synergies. It's just the Night Watch and the Bloodbond Vampire. But there's just so many top, like, first picks. Quarantine Field, Emiria Shepherd, Grip of Desolation, Feldar Sovereign, Angel of Renewal, Stasis Snare, all could be considered first picks. And obviously you should only have an average of 3 first picks. It's not really how it works, but yeah, it's a solid deck. We'll see how it performs, but yeah, I guess what kind of mana do we want here? I do like having the Sandstone Bridges in the deck because I have a lot of Flyers, and it's pretty good on Flyers. Probably 9/7, not 9/7. Yeah, that's 16 lands. So this is 15, 16, 17, 18. So this is 10 white sources, 7 black sources, plus the Blighted Fen. That sounds good. It seems so awkward, and Magic Online suggested I play 3 swamps in this deck, but I do want to hit my double black. It's a little bit awkward that my black cards are double black, but yeah, I mean, it's also important for me to note that I do have a red sideboard, Valk Invoker, Vestige of Emrakul, Touch of the Void, Turn Against, Sure Strike, if I need it, but yeah, we'll see. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the first round. Hey guys, I'm Daisho, and I'm here bringing you round 1. We won the die roll, and I think that my deck is a play first deck. We'll see what my opponent's doing, but for the most part, I think I want to be on the play. Or, I mean, just in a vacuum. I really wouldn't mind being on the draw if I think it's going to be a game where it just takes a while for either of us to do anything. Then I would be very happy to be on the draw, but we'll see what happens. So my opponent mulliganed, but they put the card on top. When my opponent does that and they're on the draw, then I essentially don't even view that as a mulligan. It means that they have pretty much what they need to get going in the game, and I'm not going to discount their ability and take lines where I don't know. I mean, there are some situations where when my opponent mulligans, I'll play differently because I'll have more cards, so all I want to do is really trade off resources, but they're pretty much set, so I don't need to worry about that. Okay, I mean, all I really want to be doing is hitting my 5th land drop. It wasn't a great hand that I kept, but with Fortified Rampart and a couple of lands, hopefully I can either draw into some spells or enough lands to start doing something. So, I mean, I knew I had a large top end as well. Definitely makes the hand a little bit riskier, but my opponent's not being aggressive, so all I really need to do is draw lands and wait a bit. Sledge Crawler. It's going to take a little bit for Sledge Crawler to get through Fortified Rampart, but alright, definitely a nice time to draw land. If I get one more, then I'm really on the board. But if I had done the math, then there's definitely a consideration for me to... Whoa, opponent just sacked a Sledge Crawler? That is aggressive. I guess, I mean, if they're really on the hunt for lands, they have a Hedron Archive or something like that, then I can understand why they would do that. Okay, Feldar Cub is a nice draw. My opponent has Vampiric Rites here, so I can actually use it to get rid of that if my opponent plays like an Eyeless Watcher here or something like that. Or Brood Monitor. Well, I guess he can't play Brood Monitor. Clastrian Night Watch. Yeah, there's no real reason to kill the Vampiric Rites in response to that. I could pull the old attack this turn, and if my opponent blocks, then Vampiric Rites, then kill Vampiric Rites. Man, another 7 drop here. Probably just going to drop. I guess I could just play Quarantine Field here, getting rid of Clash Street Night Watch, just because I have so much late game power anyway that it won't matter. Yeah, I think I'm going to... Well, then I have to, I guess, sacrifice my Felidar Cub to kill the Vampiric Rites first. Yeah, I think I should play Quarantine Field here rather than discard. I'm just trying to figure out what to kill. Maybe I just kill Hedron Archive. This thing isn't really doing that much bad to me. I can beat Hedron Archive. I can beat a couple extra cards in the long run. I'd rather take out the Night Watch, which can threaten to pressure my life total if my opponent has a removal spell or a combat trick or plays a way to gain life with Vampiric Rites, something like that. So I guess I can kill Vampiric Rites anyway. I mean, I still have my choice whether I'd rather kill Calastria Nightwatch or Hedron Archive. This represents a way for my opponent to deploy the 5 cards in his hand quicker and a way to restock later. I think that there's a good chance that that's going to be a better option for me. I still haven't figured it out yet, though. So tough. Let's see. So what do I mean, I guess I don't really have a good way of dealing with this if he does find a consistent way to gain life, like a Jati Offshoot or something like that. Doesn't really matter. Alright, I'll take it out, but I'm really not sure. Like, if I get a Felidar Sovereign online, then all he has to do is produce any other creature to double block and take care of it. But really not sure if that was the best play. Because that would prevent a turn like this where he gets to play 2 solid things. Giant Mantis, I guess, isn't that good right now, but... Awesomeness. We get ourselves a Calastria Nightwatch online here. Ghostly Sentinel doesn't do much with Giant Mantis. I don't want to use Ondu Rising until I can gain like 1 billion life off of it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have Tandem Tactics to get flying if I need to at some point. Alright, Demon's Grasp is fine. Guess he gets to attack on in here. Doesn't really matter. That's a great draw. Can't use it quite yet. Tandem Tactics means that I actually can get past a Giant Mantis, so Ghostly Sentinel is not a bad card to have out. Another removal spell is fine. I'm still at 18 life, plus I have a whole bunch of different ways to gain life in my hand. Alright, and there's my 6th land drop. So let's drop good old Felidar the Sovereign. Opponent's not likely to have a removal spell that can kill this. There just aren't that many in the format. It's a giant creature. Sure. It's actually a pretty important decision with Grave Birthing because I have Myria Shepherd, which surprisingly enough is a way to recur stuff from the graveyard. So usually you just click on anything, it doesn't matter, but at this point my opponent really could have oh my god, what is this? Grip of Desolation? That would actually be horrible for me. No, but that is also a problem. It was a really big creature. 7 mana. I guess I could play Angel of Renewal. I could play Ondu Rising. I think I'm going to go with Angel of Renewal. It gives me an option to double block. I probably won't take that option until I have Tandem Tactics up. I don't know. I'm still at 19. And if my opponent attacks, then that means that I can attack back with Felidar Sovereign, so he's not gaining too much ground that way, plus I have Ondu Rising eventually, so I'm not extremely concerned with that. Man, he's got all the removal today, huh? Even so, if he does attack with Plated Crusher, it's not that big of a deal. I have plenty of life to give, and I have more ways to gain life on the board and in my hand. Plus, if he does have like a combat trick and goes for a big block, then I can just blow him out with Grip of Desolation. So, I could have played a Myria Shepherd this turn, but I did not think, and that was probably really bad. I mean, I definitely shouldn't have played that land out. Alright. So he's just going to sacrifice the Hedron Archive, draw a couple of cards. Man, I should have Angel of Renewal in my hand and a Myria Shepherd on the board. Ugh, that is really bad. The question is, do I still play Myria Shepherd out? Probably not, considering my opponent's about to draw 2 cards. Yeah, I'm just going to ship the turn right back, leave up Grip of Desolation, and probably cast it this turn, because my opponent is going to be able to play a 7 or 8 or 9 drop or something like that. So if they have anything big, they will cast it now. I'm not hoping for a Void Winnower, but any other big creature wouldn't be too bad here. Okay, that is a bit of a problem. Alright, so he's putting counters on the Voracious Null for some reason. Okay, so let's see. My opponent's got 5, 6, 7, 8 power. So they can still actually just block and kill Feldar Sovereign. So I think I am just going to take this out. I guess I can sacrifice Blighted Fen. I could have double blocked and traded there. Why didn't I double block and... Oh my god. I am not even playing Magic today, am I? Ugh. If I had double blocked and traded, I would have just traded Tandem Tactics, gained 5 life, killed Plated Crusher. Wow. Alright, as it stands, I am not in such bad shape. I wouldn't have even lost anything, because he would have ordered this first. Well, I guess he would have ordered this first, because he would have known that it was dying, but... So now I can attack, and he's got 5, 6, 7, 8 power, so he can kill the Feldar Sovereign, so I don't think I'm going to go for it. He might not block with everything, but he also might, so it's a little bit risky. I think that was my best play. I could have also done Ondu Rising, but yeah, let me slow this roll down a little bit. I need to actually think about all my decisions more so that I don't make any really bad mistakes, because I probably had this game in the bag if I had this exact board position, but I was at 14 and my opponent didn't have a Plated Crusher and I didn't have a Tandem Tactics in hand, but what can you do? Sometimes you're just bad. Myers Malice. Okay, well, that's annoying, but not that bad. I think I'm still going to keep Tandem Tactics, because I have a feeling that my opponent is going to attack with Plated Crusher again this turn. And since they're kind of tapped out of instant speed removal, they could still have like Swell of Growth or something really weird like that. I should be able to kill the Plated Crusher. And there's no reason to risk the Emeria Shepherd here. So it didn't really end up costing me much. It was a terrible, terrible misplay, but I sort of got lucky. So again, I don't think I really want to lose the Sovereign. It's just a great blocker, and it prevents my opponent pretty much from ever swinging on the ground. It was a very good Myers Malice, though. It was a full-on 3-for-1. Got rid of 2 very impactful, very important cards. Okay, well, I mean, I definitely am in the classic position where lands are good, spells are good. I could start attacking on the ground at this point because Bloodbond Vampire will grow, but there's not really much reason to do so here. My opponent had a lot of late game, but my cards were just of a higher power level. So I was definitely lucky there. I can play that post-combat. There's actually, yeah, there is, in case my creature dies in combat. Go with Battlefield here. Again, I really could attack, but there's not much reason to. Probably actually take Blighted Fen out of my deck. My opponent's playing a sacrifice deck, meaning that they'll have Eyeless Watchers and Carrier Thralls and stuff like that, and I'd rather just have another black source so I can make sure to hit double black. Or maybe even a white source, I don't know. Well, that is a way to lose this game. I don't think it matters. With Feldar Sovereign and 4 blockers, he's only got 2 things that'll make through. I'm at 20 life. Should be okay. Even if he's got another ally to follow up with. Okay, so I guess he can survive another turn. Yeah, he can't even really make an attack here. I definitely am a little scared. Oh, wait, I have life gain, so Calastria Nightwatch gains flying. I almost did not see that, and that would have been very disappointing. Alright, finally won game 1. Very long game, very scary, made a lot of misplays along the way. That being said, what do we want to sideboard here? We can see Shadow Glider not being great, and I'd rather have another way to get rid of Vampiric Rites or From Beyond if he's got something like that. That is one way that you end up in this kind of deck. I could see Scour from Existence being okay. Dutiful Return as well. I mentioned that I was going to get rid of Blighted Fen, and I think I'm just going to add... Plains to make it 11. It's a really tough call there, but I don't think I want to be in red here. I think my black is a little bit better in the long game. So we're looking at Scour from Existence or Dutiful Return. Are either of those cards better than what I'm working with here? Tandem Tactics, I mean, while it was good in that game, I'm not going to be doing much on the ground battling, I don't think. So I'd rather play a late game card. I think my removal is a little bit lacking, so my opponent is playing big creatures, so I'm going to take a Scour from Existence and bring it in. Alright, I think that this is a good setup, and if I don't make some more terrible plays, then maybe I will be able to make it through here. Sometimes you don't get punished for your misplays. This is a much better hand. I have less on the top end, but as you guys saw from the deck building, my entire deck is top end. So having the Fortified Rampart again to save me some life in the early game is great, and having 4 lands in my hand and being on the draw is much better than what I was working with last game. I don't mind drawing another 3-drop. You can sort of start attacking with it maybe. Grip of Desolation is also a good draw. I wouldn't mind a couple more lands so that I can make sure that I hit those cards, but that's actually a concern here. If I had a Felidar Cub, I would blow it up right now. Because in a very long game, this can be a terribly scary card. Wow. Opponent's got nothing here. Okay. That I don't mind. I do need to hit a couple more lands, but either way, we should be in good shape. Emiria Shepherd is also another good draw, assuming that I hit the requisite number of land drops to not lose this game. Well, it's not like Smite the Monstrous isn't going to do anything given a long game. Grip of Desolation could be so brutal here. Wow, nothing on 4 either? That is a little bit surprising. So yeah, the first creature he plays, hopefully it's like an... Oh, wow. That died immediately. Yeah, I'm definitely waiting till 7 to play this. First creature he plays is just going to get gripped. I'm going to take out a land. Definitely waiting till 7 to play this, because I want to get this back, and I know that my opponent's at least got 1 plummet, and they played a lot of removal last game, multiple Demon's Grasps, that kind of thing. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. This was the best thing that my opponent could do for 5 mana. They're not going to be getting to 6 mana anytime soon, especially if I'm gripping something. I have another way to exile if I really need to. I have a Smite the Monstrous, I have a Scour from Existence. Not too much to worry about here. I could have considered holding that. No, that doesn't work. Just because I want to be playing plains as opposed to swamps, but that's okay. I also want to have Scour from Existence up, so I can kill something on end step if I need to. That's fine. Alright. I'm still in good shape here. I have a lot of really powerful late game stuff that I got going on. I have a Quarantine Field in hand, and this game is slated to go for a really long time, so that I don't mind. I don't really care if we're just trading Demon's Grasp for Ghostly Sentinel. I have infinite Ghostly Sentinels apparently. We're back in that spot where land is good, spells are good. So yeah, I mean, Felidar Cub, which is my least impact card, can trade for his retreat to Kazandu, so that's good. Where's Vampiric Rites? Okay. I could just get rid of this right now. It's not too bad. start pushing in damage in the air. I still have two ways to kill big creatures if I need them. If I do it now, he doesn't get a draw with the Vampiric Rites. Alright, I have convinced myself. This thing is going to be blocking my flyers all day. It's weird using removal when you don't feel like it's necessary and the game is favorable to you. That being said, my opponent with value enchantments out might have a bit of an advantage if the game goes long. I am okay with taking 2 damage, going down to 20 life. Alright. 8 mana. So now we can play our Angel of Renewal, get it right back onto the battlefield. Don't lose to like a Tajuru Warcaller or anything. I think this is the right play. Alternatively, I could just play a Quarantine Field, get rid of Vampiric Rites, Brood Monitor, and Nirkana Assassin, and then it's sort of like, how do I lose from there? And then I have to wait for another land to get Myria Shepherd going, and I'll lose out on a Ghostly Sentinel where I say I can make this play next turn. Yeah, I think it's just better to go for the more aggressive line here, considering that there really isn't anything that my opponent can do about this. That's so bad for me. Oh, I get Vigilance on my Ghostly Sentinel. That's great. Just a very valuable play right there. Yeah, I'm really not sure what my opponent can do here that would be bad for me. I mean, I don't love that they did that, but it's not really harming me from winning this game. Oh man, no more Myria Shepherd value. I think I'll hold the Plains in hand. I do want to get to 10 for Quarantine Field, but I'd rather not have to discard Quarantine Field to a Myers Malice. So this puts my opponent down to 5, which means that even if they have a way to deal with Angel of Renewal, still taking lethal next turn, I have Smite the Monstrous in hand, so I can kill a big creature on end step. I'm really surprised that my opponent didn't try and dig for an answer with Vampiric Rites, because he could have sacrificed 2 Scions to draw a card, which probably would have been a valuable play, in my opinion, but I don't know. Don't know exactly what they're working with. Maybe they're not concerned about my board at all for some reason. Maybe they sideboarded in Windstorm, which is not in this format. Alright, and that's exactly what I was talking about in terms of Smite the Monstrous being able to take out a 4-power creature. Obviously, my opponent can just Vampiric Rite, sacrifice a Scion, give it flying, but at this point, even sacrificing to draw a card is going to be the end. Their day. They're tapped out of colored spells, and there's no colorless 3-mana spell. So definitely got away with one in the first game. This game I think I played a little bit better, but either way my opponent was stuck on mana and couldn't really develop a board that would do anything in time. I managed to draw my Fortified Rampart and all of my top end, so yeah, definitely got lucky, but I will see you guys in the next round. Hey guys, here for round number 2. Looking to play a little bit better than we did in the first, and have a decent enough hand here. This is one of those tricky situations where I'm not 100% sure if I want to be playing Sandstone Bridge to pump the Courier Griffin later, or if I just want to play it now. I'll probably lead on Plains and see what I can do a little bit later. I'm unlikely to be playing 2-drop into 3-drop, so not too worried about that. Drawing Quarantine Field makes me want to play this now, but I guess there's a reasonable chance that I have either a 2-drop or a 3-drop drawn next turn. There's probably, like 6 of them in my deck total. Did not draw anything. That's fine. I could sheer drop the Cliffside Lookout. Maybe try and get him to use the ally encampment to return it back to hand. But I'm not too worried about the 1/1 beatdown, considering I have a couple of 2/3s in hand, and I can get this next turn if I want. But I'd rather just hold off for the Awaken. Alright, my opponent is stuck on 2 mana, so that is very good for me, considering I have a lot of late game play and a couple of flyers. My opponent doesn't have any pressure on me, so even if the game goes late and my opponent is able to grind me out with, or start grinding out with all the cards in hand, I still have Quarantine Field and Sheer Drop, which can be 2 and 3 mana play. So the reason not to block here is to play around Lithomancer's Focus. The reason to block is to gain a life if it's Gideon's Reproach, but I'd rather play around Lithomancer's Focus if I can avoid it. Tandem Tactics. To gain a life? To gain 2 life? What is going on? Why did my opponent just cast a Tandem Tactics? Of that I have no clue. To deal 1 damage to me? That does not sound worth it, sir. I should have left Plains up, because that signals Lithomancer's Focus, whereas this doesn't signal anything. So next turn I'll hit my 6 mana. Ooh, is this a Tajuru Stalwart? It is. Still not really concerned with what my opponent's doing here. Wow. This is quite the draw here. Unfortunately, I can't play Stasis Snare and Shadow Glider this turn. But we're okay. So yeah, I mean, next turn I can Quarantine Field 2 things, I can Sheer Drop something, and maybe even attack. I can see what I draw and maybe interact with that, whatever. But this is looking like it's my game to win. Huh. Opponent still is attacking with this thing. At this point, it's fair for me to try and tap out my opponent, making them use a combat trick. Okay, so he did have the Lithomancer's Focus. But this is fine, because now my opponent only has 2 mana, and they might not be able to do what they wanted to do for the turn. If I draw land, then I'm in great shape, because that means that I can Sheer Drop, take out this thing, and beat down. Without fear of getting like Gideon's Reproach or anything like that. I mean, this is just such a blowout. It's such a huge tempo swing. I'm able to leverage the fact that I have a lot of mana to make a much stronger 2-for-1 play than what my opponent's able to do, and not only take away from his board state, but add to mine and get damage in this turn. So really, really strong play. Such a strong play that my opponent conceded, which is really an absurdly bad thing to do at this point, because I'm holding 2 cards that if I play either of them, my opponent's probably going to make significant sideboard changes, and I'm likely to play either of these cards in the next 2 turns. So I don't know. I think that that's very much a premature concession, even though my opponent probably wasn't going to win that game based on how it started. This is a game I'd be more interested in moving into red-white. Turn Against is likely to be better because he's playing a bunch of small aggressive creatures. Maybe they'll have more power than toughness and trade well with Turn Against. Touch of the Void is likely to be better. Vestige of Emrakul, better blocker than something like Bloodbond Vampire, and even Valakut Invoker. So yeah, I'm going to try and take out these black cards and see how it goes. No need for Smite the Monstrous in this matchup, but one thing I have made a mistake on so many times, I mean like 2 or 3 times is when I say so many times, but is just forget to switch the lands, which is so awkward. I think I want 7 mountains. So I guess I need 1 more land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I think that I can be happy with 7 mountains. So I need 1 more card here. Oh, Turn Against. I thought I brought that in. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. Could also bring in a Felidar Cub. Not sure what I would take out, but I think this deck should be a little bit better against this opponent. It's less awkward, which is kind of the best way that I would lose. I mean, I'm taking out 6-drop and a 5-drop for a couple of cheaper cards. This is a really good hand. I have 3 white, so I can play my double white cards. I have Fortified Rampart and Courier Griffin, which are 2 of my, I guess, kind of average cards, but they're still pretty good to draw. And of course, I have Quarantine Field on the top of my library. Which is really all you can hope for. Okay, so we'll probably get a better game this time than last time. Opponent really stumbled early and couldn't recover. Couple of combat tricks, so I'm definitely going to be worried about that. My opponent showed me a Tandem Tactics and a Lithomancer's Focus, which just goes to show that they really do have that ability to play those combat tricks against me. Nothing doing here. A couple of lands, which isn't too bad. I mean, it means that I'll probably... I mean, I already have guaranteed 6 mana for the Quarantine Field, so I can hold up and wait for that. Alright. No reason to have 6 when I do have a Tandem Tactics available to me. Not too worried about taking 2 damage here, and also not too worried about my opponent using a combat trick to finish me off. Even if it's a Gideon's Reproach, I can save it with Tandem Tactics. Wow. Opponent's not even playing anything. Okay, mouse. What do you say? Maybe you'll cooperate. I think I need to get a new mouse, because this one, every once in a while when I'm in the middle of a game, I can't even click, I can't use my spells, I can't drag it to the right location, but it seems to be okay here. Alright, so this is a good spot for me. Opponent didn't do anything last turn. Nothing at my end step either. If I see a double attack here, then I won't block with my Courier Griffin. But there's a Hero of Gomafada. Doesn't really matter. Resolute Blademaster would be a problem, but as it stands, okay. Come on, mouse. Come on, buddy. Alright, so Sandstone Bridge, pumping my good buddy Courier Griffin. And we'll see what my opponent does next turn. Hero of Gomafada is a little scary, but I'm definitely going to hold on so I can Quarantine Field at least 2 things. We'll see what's going on, and maybe I can actually hold off to Quarantine Field 3 things. But I also don't want to put myself in a position where my opponent has ally encampment up, so I can't take out the Gomafada. The Hero of Gomafada. That would be quite a misstep on my part. So opponent is looking, but putting all the cards on the bottom, which is it's technically correct to do, just because that gives you information on what you won't draw for the rest of the game, which is quite valuable. Alright, so since my opponent didn't do anything last turn, I know that I can't actually use Quarantine Field here, so I'll just pass the turn back. This is not a great draw on my part. I am getting super flooded, but that's the thing about this. I should really actually be playing out mountains instead of plains. That was actually really bad, because I don't have anything in my graveyard just yet, but that's definitely a potential thing to happen. Alright, so there's the Ondu Champion, meaning Indestructible is happening this turn. And I think I will try and take a couple extra damage to get another thing off the board, especially because he still has ally encampment up. It's going to be trouble to tap him out of that. Oh well. Come on. Alright. 3 damage, not too miserable. Okay. See, that is what I like to draw. Wow, after I said that I should be not playing planes, I played another planes. Miserable. I am just absolutely miserable. I still want to leave the Courier Griffin to hold back the Reckless cohort, but at least now I can play Quarantine Field for 3. So I guess my biggest hope is that my opponent plays a gigantic creature right here that taps him out of all of his mana, and well, that's the opposite of what I wanted to see. Okay, so just going to take 7 here. I'm not really sure if I can afford to wait another turn. So I'll still get a 3-for-1 in that the ally encampment will die. But I did want to get Hero of Gomafada off the board. That being said, it really does... right? Oh, 3. It really does do a number on my opponent's board, taking out the Stalwart and the Andu Champion. I mean, hopefully my opponent will bring back the Hero of Gomafada now, but it's not what's going to happen. Yeah, he has Hero of Gomafada in hand, so this is not going to have attacks each turn available next turn. Definitely looking to pick up Emiria Shepherd at this point. That's a weird play. That over the hero. Right, I mean, not too consequential. I guess he gets another 1/1 out of it this way. Really flooding out here, though. At the same time, I am making misplays, even though I have very few decisions. So it's just something to be aware of when you're playing a game of Magic. How many times throughout the game are you doing things that you will regret later? My opponent can push through a damage next turn, which isn't a problem if I start drawing some impactful spells. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I do play out my lands, I can do something like play Valakut Invoker and activate it at the same turn. At the same time, I do want to just hold lands for Emiria Shepherd, so that's a little bit awkward as well. Hopefully my opponent doesn't attack here, but I can't imagine why they wouldn't. And now I'm just hoping that they're going to brick on allies, which is tough. Right? Well, I can still play out the mountains. So 10, yeah, now I can hold lands and still be able to play Valakut Invoker and activate at the same turn. Wow, okay, that's not good. So this turn, I'm actually going to take 5. Could use the tandem tactics to take 1 less, but I don't think that's quite worth it. And I am running short on turns. That being said, I do have some draws that will save me here. In addition to the fact that my opponent might be tempted to swing out next turn, which would be 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. Oh wait, that would be actually enough, because I would move up to 6. Yeah. Okay, so I need to draw something impactful on this turn, or I will lose. Oh man, there's a lot of lands. All right. I don't think that there's anything that I can do here. Myria Shepherd would have been very solid. I drew what I needed in Felidar Sovereign, but my opponent had the answer in Smite the Monstrous. Okay, so that attack, even if I block these two, then I'm still taking 5, 6, 7, 8. I can go up to 6, so I am dead. Oh my lord. Okay. Going into this game, I didn't see anything that made me want to bring in this stuff. Onto Greathorn, maybe, just as a decent enough blocker, but I don't think I really need that. Turn against with that 3/1 would be nice. The 3/3 into the 4/3. I guess if they're indestructible, not really, but I think that this is still the way to go. And I did make a couple of mistakes, but they didn't end up mattering. And the luck of the draw was definitely not with me, that one. That being said, my opponent has a lot of the tools to beat me in this match. They have Smite the Monstrous, a nice curve of allies, and those are the kind of things that I could struggle against, especially if there's like a Resolute Blade Master somewhere in that deck. I can really see just getting beaten down and losing to that. Not a great hand, but I have my colors and I have 2 really solid removal spells, so I can kill the important threats, get to the bridge to the late game where my deck has a significant advantage. Alright, and my opponent is on the mulligan again. They are playing a 3-color deck, and we don't know how much fixing they actually have. We saw Cinderglade and a Fertile Thicket so far. But, ooh, Mr. Cubster, right on time. Reckless Cohort. I'm pretty happy to trade my Felidar Cub for a Reckless Cohort here. Haven't seen any enchantments that are worth destroying, so yeah, let's see how this goes. Very happy to use my 2-mana 2/2 as a removal spell for his 2-mana 2/2. That's all I really want to be doing in this one, considering the cards that I've drawn so far. Munda. Okay, I'll kill Munda here with Stasis Snare. Can't really ask for a much better target than that. It's an interesting situation. Depending on how many allies, you sometimes only want to have one ally revealed, even if you have multiple, just because you want to have the best chance to dig through your deck to find the cards that you want. But looks like there's no reason to go through this combat. Looks like the opponent didn't find any allies, which is good for me. This means that their next draw might not be good. Or as opposed to if we saw a specific ally, then we would have an idea that, or we would be kind of sure that their draw step would be really good. That being said, we've got a nice situation going on here. Felidar Sovereign, for sure able to play it because we hit our 6 land drop the prior turn. Quarantine Field for 2 is online. I have plenty of stuff to do between now that's impactful between now and when I can possibly draw 8 lands, so that's good too. Opponent playing that, they're probably not going to attack this turn. I can Touch of the Void this, then attack on in. This is a great situation. Even though I don't get to do 2 things on this turn, I still get to get a 4-point life swing, or an 8-point life swing total this turn, which is really strong. And I mean, once you hit for once with this, even if your opponent has a removal spell, it doesn't really matter because it was worth it already. Alright, Resolute Blade Master isn't much to be concerned about here. Still can't double block this, so I don't really see any reason to Quarantine Field these 2. I guess in case ally encampment is a thing. I can go for the 40 life victory, I suppose. Whereas now, like if my opponent plays Hero of Gomafada, then there's a chance that that they kill me like that. But I'd much rather get the Ghostly Sentinel on board and have the potential to get a 3-for-1 out of Quarantine Field. So I mean, at 28, and my opponent's got 4 power. There's no chance that they kill me on this turn. Okay, so from my opponent's perspective, this sort of evens things out, but I just have Quarantine Field in hand. If I draw a land, sure, that's great. If I don't, then I can still take out the Blade Master and the Beast Master and put myself in incredible position. I guess Sheer Drop is not very good against the McKinley Patrol, huh? That was a really bad draw. Both my creatures have Vigilance anyway, and I was hoping to either draw something impactful or draw a land, an untapped land. Okay, that was enough for my opponent to throw in the towel. I will see you guys in the finals. Hey guys, here for the final round, and I think this might be the first game that I didn't have a Fortified Rampart in my opening hand, which is a little bit insane. Fortunately, I do have a 3-drop in McKinley Patrol, so we don't have to wait forever, and drew a 2-drop in Feldar Cub. So opponent playing Lumbering Falls to start off, probably a Converge deck, because the only green decks that can really win tend to be Converge decks, but that being said, that's a Blister Pod, so that doesn't go in the Converge deck. Happy to be drawing lands here. We want to be able to make sure that we get to 5 in time. I have 4 lands, and I've got 3 draws to do so, so it's in my favor, but it's not like it would be completely unbelievable if I didn't. Alright, so definitely playing against green-black Eldrazi Scions. Not exactly sure what the implications of that are, but definitely just going to charge in there with Feldar Cub here. I'm super happy to trade with Dominator Drone, and it's got Vigilance anyway, so I can trade with Dominator Drone next turn. So yeah, we're looking good here. I guess my opponent can chump with Blister Pod if they want to get an extra mana to ramp out something, but seems fine. And pushing the little bit of damage through is important. Ghostly Sentinel is now a 6-turn clock instead of a 7-turn clock, so that's a thing. Sandstone Bridge, sure. I want to play that this turn anyway, and so if I do it on McKinley Patrol, then I actually can take out 2 of these. Yeah, let's do it that way. I end up with a 2/2 in play instead of a 2/3, but trading off for the first half of a Blister Pod is pretty relevant. He's just going to chump here. No, he's going to Altar's Reap. Okay, that is fine. I mean, it's a good turn for my opponent. He gets a free 1/1 out of the deal. 2 cards in the graveyard, 2 drawn off the top, but it's solid enough for me as well. A little bit awkward Ondu Rising and Calastria Nightwatch interaction. That's annoying. Okay, trading off this Feldar Cub in a heartbeat. Don't want to get ingested for no reason. Feldar Cub is likely to be worse for me than McKinley Patrol, so yeah, we're alright with this. And now I have Ghostly Sentinel and Calastria Nightwatch. I think I'm going to play, and Bloodbound Vampire, so I can really get some life gain action going on. I think I'm going to go ahead and play the Ghostly Sentinel here so that my opponent is not tempted to start attacking me. Because again, I just want this game to go on for a long time because I have some of the best cards in the format in my deck. That being said, my opponent probably has a really strong late game because those decks tend to grind and be slower, especially he's playing 3 colors. So I can definitely see a long game favoring my opponent a little bit more than it favors me. I could do something next turn like play Bloodbond Vampire if I draw land, and then attack with the Ghostly Sentinel and 10 tactics. Could see that being a solid enough play. Opponent could have a number of things considering they have access to 5 mana in green, blue, or black right now, but okay, so he is going to attack here. Interesting that they would be willing to trade 2 for 3. It's not absurd or anything, but it's definitely interesting. Angel Vanilla, okay. May as well attack before playing anything, before tapping myself out. Angel of Renewal is a really good draw here. I just need one more land, and then next turn I can attack for 7 Vigilance flying. Also worth noting, I have Ondu Rising in hand, so I guess lifelink on my ground creatures isn't as good because they have Scion, so they can just block, but when we get to 6 mana, that could be a relevant thing if my opponent is actually doing a decent job of racing me. Skyrider Elf. Sure. Okay, it's interesting. Oh, okay, so my opponent's still attacking for some reason. No land. Alright, so that means that I can only do one thing this turn. One thing is probably just going to be Tandem Tactics, I guess. It doesn't seem great. I could just play Bloodbond Vampire and pass. I could just attack with the team. Oh, I'm not attacking. I could attack with the team. Attacking with this guy isn't that good here. Alright, I'm just going to play Bloodbond Vampire and pass. It's not great, but I mean, just passing is also a decent enough play because, well, I guess if I'm doing that, then I may as well attack with Calastrian Nightwatch. It's got Vigilance. And if it trades for Skyrider Elf, I'm fine with that. If it trades for, I guess, 4 creatures, I'm fine with that too. Huh, I wonder if he would do that. Chances are I just get a Scion like this, but maybe throwing all of his creatures in front of it wouldn't be horrible for him. Uh-oh. It's just a Grave Birthing. Not the end of the world for me. I do predict that my opponent's going to attack with Skyrider Elf here, and I'm not sure what I want to be doing exactly. I really just want to draw a land for Angel of Renewal. That would be the ideal situation. Then I can get Vigilance, attack with my flyers, do a lot of damage. But I also have to remember Lumbering Falls exists here. Skyline Cascade, interesting. Yeah, I have so much life gain in my hand, it's probably not worth trading here. Okay, he's not going to attack. I really don't know why that Silent Skimmer's attacking. I mean, I guess I didn't attack last turn, so it made sense. Awesome. Okay, so now let's just make sure that Angel of Renewal is our best play, and it's not Feldar Sovereign or Ondu Rising. Feldar Sovereign isn't too dominant on this board because he has all those Scions. Same with Ondu Rising. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is just where I want to be. No real reason to attack with the Bloodbond Vampire. I guess there's no reason to attack. Oh, yeah. So this is just going to still trade for that. Maybe I just don't want to do that. Maybe I just want to attack with the Calastrian Nightwatch. because I have Tandem Tactics in hand. Well, I don't think Tandem Tactics is going to get used anytime soon. And I think as long as I'm attacking with everything here, it makes sense to attack with the Bloodbond Vampire too. At this point in the game, I really just want to get rid of my opponent's board, because that's the scariest thing. Like, what if he draws a Tajir Warcaller? So, wow, that's really terrifying. My opponent didn't even chump the Bloodbond Vampire. I'm not sure what to make of that. Kiora, Master of Depths. Top 4 cards. There's a Tajir Warcaller. I think it's a little bit late for that. Even if he has a land, yeah, I should be fine. He's going to have to tap himself out. And, I mean, most of his creatures, actually none of his creatures get through mine anyway, so good to know. But yeah, my opponent's got an interesting deck over there. If I had a Boiling Earth in my sideboard, I would definitely switch to red. That being said, there's not too much in red that that is appealing. What do I want to sideboard, if anything? Is Scour from Existence worth bringing in? Probably not. Blighted Fen probably isn't worth having in my deck against this guy. 1, 2. So we brought in an island or a plains last time. I think I'm still going to bring in a plains. So Dutiful Return. None of my creatures even died. He has ways to exile anyway, so there's a chance that it just isn't even live. Scour from Existence, probably not. I have a bunch of expensive, clunky spells anyway, and I don't really want to be doing that. Undo Greathorn instead of like a Courier Griffin. No. All right, let's suit him up just as we were. Not a great hand, but not terrible either. Quarantine Field, again, is a very flexible card, so if I don't draw my lands on time, then I can still play it early and get rid of something relevant. I think I want to just make sure, like in case I draw a 4-drop and a 5-drop and a 6-drop and that kind of thing, that I can just get my Sandstone Bridge out early. Yeah, there's a chance that it ends up being the wrong play, but yeah, I would definitely like to draw Feldark up here. Just hold off the Blister Pod team. But that being said, I will have a McKinney Patrol by turn 3, so not the end of the world if I don't draw a 2-drop. Okay, Myria Shepherd, so definitely going to focus on playing swamps before plains if I can. There's certainly situations where that's not going to be a possibility, especially, I mean, I have to get to 7 mana first, but if I just keep drawing land, then I want to be playing plains first. Okay, so my opponent doesn't have any black mana, which is really good. And Skyline, Cascade, Forest is pretty telling that they're not really... I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe they... yeah, they definitely don't have black mana yet, because that would have been much worse for me if that was a 3/3 flyer. And there's a significant possibility that I play Quarantine Field next turn. Okay, so that means that Swamp is happening. Yeah, and I was just about to say my opponent, there's a good chance that they attacked with the Blister Bots here. I think it's worth trade. No, it's probably not worth trading. If they want to trade so badly, I don't want them to trade. I'll wait a turn. I'll do it next turn, but if I can completely time walk them by that, then that's worth it for me. And again, just because I have all this crazy stuff to do with the game going long, I'm gonna go ahead and Quarantine Field. Get rid of the Skyrider Elf, because that's the consistent pressure here. And even though I'll be able to take it down in a couple turns or at least block it, I'm still taking 4 damage from it, and I'm at 13. So, I mean, I was honestly hoping that they wouldn't attack this turn, and that's why I left back my creature to block. But if my opponent can't do anything, then there's no reason for me to be pressing anything. So honestly, I'm just going to keep taking 2 damage. I have Felidar Sovereign and Angel of Renewal, so I can for sure race back and get my life back. So, I mean, I know that I can gain 3 life back next turn. And if I had blocked 3 turns ago, then I might have just lost this game. At this point, it's probably, like, there's a good chance. I guess it's really like a 40% chance that my opponent drew a land this turn, but even so, yeah, I was about to say, there's a good chance that my opponent's just running the bluff here, and that they actually did draw a land. Okay, so I think it's time for Felidar Sovereign to hit the battlefield. But yeah, so my opponent was easily able to run the bluff because they knew that I was not blocking for the last couple of turns. It was still a bit of an advantage for me not to attack, but I sort of saw hesitation, whereas the turns before they were just like, all right, come on, let's get this to work, that kind of thing. But he drew the land, so now he's able to sacrifice the woodland and get all of his mana online. So I mean, this could be like. This could be a Bone Splinters, or I mean, there are plenty of different things that my opponent can drop here that would be scary, but I'm still in good shape either way. I have 3 big flyers. One of them gains me a bunch of life, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is going. I guess I don't have a big removal spell, which is kind of what I would like to see here. Something like a Grip of Desolation, but other than that, not really much more I can ask for. Alright, there's a Kiora. I wonder what this is. Just activate it, and then I get to attack and kill it. If you -2 it, if you +1 it, then get a couple of chump blocks in before I can kill it. Still only get 1 activation out of it. Kiora when you're losing is a lot worse than Kiora when you're winning, but it's also super cool in Standard. I mean, I sort of do want to build a Kiora deck with Den Protector, Murderous Cut, that kind of thing, and just use it as your 5th, 6th, 7th Sidisi Breed Tyrant, which is also a completely underplayed card right now. But either way, not a big deal. So opponent decided to plus it. Not really sure what that means. Could Stasis Snare one of these just to kill Kiora, but I don't see that as being worth it. Just going to play Angel of Renewal pre-combat to give my guys Vigilance and gain myself 4 life, back up to 13. And there's no reason to play just play aggressively and try and go for my opponent's life total. I have so much to do, and I just want to keep my opponent off of getting extremely valuable plays and stuff. So, yeah, they'll take 2 here. I still gain 4, which is great. Kiora goes down to 3, and that means that even with a +1, Angel of Renewal can take it down next turn. Well, this is an Altar's Reap, probably, on the Blister Pod that's blocking the Felidar Sovereign. Which is good, because my opponent basically got to use Altar's Reap to deal 4 damage to me. And, yeah, that's nice. Because I didn't end up gaining the life from it. But that doesn't change much. I'm still in really good shape, and I'm still happy where we are. Still have a Myria Shepherd in hand. I need a couple more lands to turn it on, but that being said, we're still in good shape. Oh, one thing that's kind of sweet about Quarantine Field exiling Skyrider Elf is that even if he kills Quarantine Field, Skyrider Elf is a 0/0. Wow. Gruesome Slaughter, Grave Birthing. I have no cards exiled and no cards in my graveyard, so we're not in danger of Ulamog's Nullifier coming down and actually doing any real damage. Opponent is up to 7 cards in hand, including a Smoldering Merchant and Ulamog's Nullifier. Transgress the Mind. Sure. It's annoying, but what can you do? Not too hard to understand why my opponent took Myria Shepherd there. Yeah, I know the opponent's got Ulamog's Nullifier. Not sure what else is going on up there. Now one card is exiled, so I do have to kind of play around that and make sure that I'm not going to get Ulamog's Nullified. Titan's Presence. Dominator Drone. Okay, so now my opponent's got... Let's see what they have in hand. Okay. So that's a weird play. And they also didn't leave up Nullifier there. I mean, it's not like he he can really afford not to chump block this. I guess, yeah, they can afford not to chump block this turn. So I'm just going to attack Kiora. Actually, I may as well attack him. Attack Kiora with this. Doesn't really matter. I guess it could be like a plummet, but either way, they're going to chump block those two. Oh. Yeah, this guy should have attacked Kiora. Whatever. Doesn't matter. No, it's better this way, because now my opponent wasn't going to chump block otherwise. I guess he might have chump blocked Felidar Sovereign to keep me at a low life total. Okay. Can resolve Ghostly Sentinel now when he doesn't have removal spell up, and there's not much reason to play out the swamp. There's not much reason to hold it either. The reason to play it out is because my opponent could do something like play Myers Malice, and I don't really want that to happen to me. If I can avoid it, I'd rather have my 7th land out. So playing Ondu Rising is good in a vacuum here, but in this situation, my opponent's just going to play Ulamog's Nullifier to block anyway. And I don't care if he blocks Felidar Gub. I attacked with it knowing that this was a distinct possibility. I could Stasis Snare it, but again, it doesn't really help me enough. It's not like I would be killing my opponent, I would be taking them to 1, so I'm fine with how this is going. Alright, buddy, what do you have? I have 7 power of flyers. My opponent's got 1 flying blocker, but I have a removal spell for it. Dominator Drone is a card that I can beat, and now I've seen all of these, so I can ignore them. I'm at 15 life, so it's not like my opponent can kill me. Definitely a weird deck that my opponent's playing. Sort of a mishmash between Converge and... between Converge and whatever this is. I guess I'll play this. Between Converge and Devoid. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on there. Oh, does he have another Ulamog's Nullifier? Huh. It's not like that actually matters, and I think I still wanted to play it this way, just because now I can get Ondu Rising and kill him, unless got like a 2 mana spell that matters, but either way, this is what's happening. Because all my creatures are lethal, so cool. We won the match. That was a fun draft. My deck was really strong. Not sure exactly if I should have been in red or black, or when I should have made a decision on either. But my white was just so good the whole time that it didn't really matter. Opening 3 white rares was cool, even though I passed the 3rd one for a Grip of Desolation. But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We definitely got off to a rocky start, but managed to turn it around and focus a little bit more. Definitely not the best player, I admit it, and I will always admit it, but I am working on getting better, so that's really what matters, right? Right. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day. Bye.